Alright, welcome to episode 81 of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we saw the beginning of the Cold War. So the Russians invaded a small purple country down here, and the Arabic Union invaded this tiny Mecca country. There was some civil wars around the world, like in Italy, where the government got overthrown. One in Libya, which didn't really do anything, it just kind of portrayed like how incredibly unstable their country is. And another in Papua New Guinea, which basically split this country into three separate ones. So that's fun. The brown team was the one who had the civil war. There was also some decolonization, as all six or something of these countries were released in South America. The Germans released their colony into one huge East African thing, and the Spanish also released most of their Egyptian colony, keeping the Suez Canal. And there's also just one or two major colonies left in the world, being the Spanish colony in India, and also all of Canada, which is still owned by the Germans. Well, it might not be at the end of today's episode, but at the moment it is. Anyway, there's lots of different things I want to do in this episode. Well, there's so many cool things I can do with the Cold War, so I'm not sure where to start. And we also saw the creation of a few alliances in the last episode, so there is now a square alliance between the Russians, the Irish, and the Italians, and a circle alliance between the Arabic Union, France, and Norway, which is a kind of more controversial. I also just remembered ideology is something that I need to do in today's episode because, both the whatever they're called, both our Cold War powers at the moment, the Arabic Union and Russia, will be switching over to democratic nations, so they get rid of their monarchy, just fully get rid of it. No constitutional monarchy or anything, but what's happened in Germany. That just most of Europe's now kind of trending towards democracy. There's still a few monarchies, especially like the Iberian country, who's a really quite powerful nation, but they're still a monarchy. Anyway, these guys don't have ideology, so I should probably do that. Do you have ideology? No. Good me. I'm good at this. Anyway, but the Indians do, so at least I did like one of the things I decolonized. Well done me. The other bit I was going to do with that is the councils across the world, because I think we've come to a point in the world's history where we don't really need council ideologies, but all these council countries will now be switching to normal democracies. So we see Bengal become a pure, full democracy. This country becomes a flawed one. Both of you guys are flawed. India is going to become a full one. These guys become flawed, and so do you. I don't think there's any more. Oh wait, there is. There's one more guy, and it's this one right over here. So there we go. We have two more full pure democracies, being the nations of India and Bengal, and we can make one more change to that with one of the oldest democracies in the world, Sri Lanka, also changing over to a pure democracy. I think the only pure democracy with Austria has a king as well. So there we go. Here's a cool map of ideology if you're interested. But I should probably do some wars. I also yapped a lot, and apparently there's no ideology in this country. I think they're probably an autocracy though. I mean, they had a king before, but they probably still don't have one. Why did I... Oh, yeah, I remember where I was going to go. I completely forgot. Let's go to Central Asia-ish. Actually, what country is this? Okay. I don't know what's over there. I don't know what province that is. That didn't help. Anyway, it's the blue country that I was looking at. So they're just kind of north of Kazakhstan, because this country has no national identity, really. It's just a very small region of the green country. I don't even remember how the green country got this land. I don't know if it's just them expanding into this area because land was running out over here, or if it was by a war. I have no idea. It's probably just expansion. But the Russians will be declaring war on this country because they've now kind of gone rogue, and the people of the country do support this quite heavily. And there's no one who can really stop the Russians except the Arabic Union, but that would kind of be a really bad idea. But the Russians invade all across the border, taking the capital city and another major city very quickly. This country is one of the least industrialized countries in the world, probably. They're really not doing great. I mean, industrialization hasn't quite reached a lot of Central Asian countries. It's not a new idea, because it's been around for a while. But these guys are very far apart from Europe. Russia hasn't been a super major power for too long. I mean, they became a major power like a World War One sort of time, maybe just before that. So they haven't really spread, whatever it's called, industrialization to this area quite yet. But they could in the future. And some of these countries, like the stronger ones, maybe the yellow team. I mean, this country is industrialized, so maybe a little bit there. Aral's probably industrialized. Some of these like core Central Asian countries, they probably are, maybe. Anyway, heading on down south, we need to go to the nation of northern India, like Gangetic India, because they will be going to war with this tiny yellow country. Currently, this guy is an oligarchy. They became an oligarchy following their allegiance with the red country down in southern India, well, central-ish India now. It's funny, like, they used to have all this land, like, their capital's in the north, but now the capital's in the south. So it's really strange what's happened to this country. But the green team is going to be invading the yellow country, a very poor, kind of weak, mostly agricultural nation. If we look at the real life layer, you can see, like, they're mostly Nepalese, but some of the territory is, like, in the Himalayan mountains. So this country is not in a great spot, just geographically, really. So yeah, the green country doesn't have a super tricky time invading, apart from just geographical problems. As they push over, taking this major city, they then kind of, well, like, abandon all this stuff, and Tibetans aren't even really sending aid because they treasure their like trade with this country more than they do with the yellow country. So they're just gonna choose them over these guys. Bihar doesn't care because this guy rebelled away from them like a really long time ago. So yeah, no one's gonna give this country aid, and after not too long, they capitulate and collapse. So yeah, the Gangetic country goes even stronger. Nice. But now we need to head over to China. China is a fairly new country. I also remembered to move their capital into the north. Well, no, yeah, this country is new. They've existed for like 3 episodes. They were technically a participant of World War II. I put them on the thumbnail for the peace treaty. So, yeah, they kind of were. And they still got some territories which you wouldn't class as Chinese, like the Philippines, for example. But today, they're going to be doing something kind of special, and that is they'll be reached out to by a nation kind of far away, and a nation stronger than them, and that nation is the great nation of Germany. So Germany heads over to the Chinese and they're like, hey, do you want to form an alliance? And that's not at all what China was expecting them to say. Well, I don't know what they were expecting them to say. Probably like trading stuff, like wheat or something. But I think China's probably able to produce its own wheat, I would say. But yeah, the Germans go over to them like, hey, do you want to make an alliance? You are a rising power in the world. If we look at Orange China, they were super strong at some points, kind of. And this guy is much more industrialized. The Germans also were offering to give them loads of technology that would make them really industrialized as well. And they're like, you're also democratic. We're democratic. You're kind of in the region near Russia, but you don't border them, so you could like kind of scare them a bit. And we're very scared of the Russians as well. They're on our border. So maybe do you want to form an alliance? And China's going to think about this, and then eventually they're going to say yes, because I wouldn't have probably mentioned it if they didn't say yes. So yeah, that's how you know. Anyway, I don't know what shape to make this. I'm not sure. I could have made it a triangle. Diamond alliance, sure, why not? So the Germans, okay, that's a bit big. The Germans and the Chinese create their own alliance. So here's the German shape, and here's the Chinese shape, and yeah, we're just gonna color. Is it the right layer? It is. Oh my god, I usually never do it on the right layer. But yeah, Germany and China. How that's not all, as in another country, a request to join China's alliance, not really for defensive reasons, but just because they're kind of friends with China, and that is of course the nation of Tibet. They've got the Chinese currency, trying to help them out economically in the past, and then they didn't really like the Orange Chinese, but they kind of needed them, and the people have grown closer together. They also helped the Blue Chinese, and they didn't really need that much help, but during the Chinese Civil War, they helped them with that. So the two countries are very close, also like their main trading partners in this guy. But yeah, they will join the Chinese Economic Alliance. I'm not really sure how much China can help Germany, like actually fight a war in Europe, but they could try. And they might get more allies in this region, so you never know. They definitely will. Anyway, where do you want to go next? Because there's quite a few places we can go next, so I'm not sure. This video is 9 minutes long, so I've kind of sped through some stuff, which is cool. But let's go over here to Mexico. Mexico is a region that the Dutch decolonized not too long ago. Well, when they got thrown out of Mexico. But as you can see in the bottom left corner, the purple team has just been picked up by me, because they are going to be invading their neighbor to the north, the grey country, who has very few straight lines, just like one here, and then like a couple in this border, but only little straight lines. But yeah, both of these countries will be going to war. It's over just general disputes, probably due to the straight lines. But the purple team also claims the capital city, and unsurprisingly, the grey team doesn't want to give up their capital, So purple team troops invade, taking the capital very quickly because these guys didn't really expect it, and also both their militaries aren't very like super evolved or anything. They've been around for not many years, so yeah, they're not great at fighting wars and stuff like that. But the grey team will, after a bit, send a counteroffensive over here into the northeast of the purple country, whilst the purple team invades and takes a major city over here, pushing up the coast, which is really not what you want them to do. Unfortunately for the purple team, grey team, there's really no purple. Wow, you've got some straight lines. Whoa. Purple team cities up in the north, so they're going to kind of just take over some random stuff. It's either deserty or really good for oh no, it's probably deserty. The agricultural bits over here. Never mind. But the purple team front line is doing pretty well as they push up towards this city until finally we see a counteroffensive held by the grey team as they push down the coast and connect up with this area, but they don't take back any major cities. The purple team then also makes a major counteroffensive, pushing these guys almost entirely out from being able to access this group, which is good of them. And now the two areas are going to connect up like this, and that is scary, really scary for you guys, because all your troops are having to retreat back to these cities, and eventually they retake this city, trapping a lot of troops who mostly surrender, and that's them done. And now there's just this one city left. This country is really barren, apparently. I mean, there's not that many cities in these colonies, so I do probably need to update that. But in the end, they take the city, and the rest of the country will capitulate and surrender. California's got cities, yeah. And yeah, the purple team fully annexed this nation, making their borders much bigger. They are a much longer Mexican country, and North America has already lost its first nation. Let's give them a new one, shall we? Let's do that. Oh yeah, Canada. I don't know if that was obvious. We're going to be decolonizing Canada. Let's do that. Alright, so there we go. We have divided up Canada into 4 new countries. There's still one little Canadian country left, well, Canadian colony, I mean, which is this territory over here. It's very much core German stuff. All the people here are practically like, well, these guys are kind of different, but these guys are very much just German people. Well, fairly. Anyway, let's give these guys some capital cities. First off, we need to go to Alaska. However, the Alaskan one is strangely Korean. Like, it's a very Korean ethnicity country. Most people are religiously Korean, and although there have been missionaries, of course, from the German country, it's still going to be pretty Korean over here. So they're going to put their capital, I don't know, somewhere on the coast maybe, but there's not really great coastal cities over here, so our man. Maybe just in this region right there. The green country here in Canada is going to put their capital somewhere, just like anywhere, just here. The yellow country is entirely yellow, so I have no idea if they have any cities, so that's annoying. Oh no, I can kind of see. Look at their capital. Oh, I can't really see that. Yeah. Capital right there. Actually, we might just need to change the color of their country. Like, darken it slightly. Is that works. Although it doesn't match too much with the other yellow American country we've got. The answer is yes. I'll see. Okay, so this country, whatever region this is, has now changed its color to this purplish color. I don't know. For a brief moment, they were yellow. Anyway, this country apparently has more cities than the other one, which is funny. So they're going to get their capital city. Let's put it somewhere over here. Maybe in the center. And that's all the new countries we've released just now. And we need to release one more country before the end of the episode. And it's going to be the nation here in India. The Iberians didn't really want to release this one at all. But unfortunately for them, they're going to have to. I don't know what color to make it, except maybe this. That feels kind of right. There you go. You can look like that. And cities. I need to find the right city for them because they had it in that province. Oh yeah, it's this one. Cool. Because it's obviously going to be the capital of this colony, and it becomes the capital of it now. I think that should be, yeah, it's definitely the Spanish area. So there we go. India is now entirely decolonized. It wasn't really that colonized to begin with. But there you go. There's only a few colonies left in the entire world. And there's that. But now where do we go? There's like quite a few places we could go. And I'm not sure which one to go to be honest. I don't know. To be honest, there's only really one more thing that I think I should do in today's episode. And just save the rest of the stuff for the next episode. And that is create another new alliance. This time an economic alliance. Yep, let's find an actual shape. So the previous one was a square one. Let's make this a circle, and it's going to be a blue one because if we look at the currency layer in this territory, this is why I made a currency layer, I guess. It's mostly divided between Bengali and Indian. This is going to be Spanish currency. Then you've got your own one, and yeah. Oh, and you've got an Indian one. You're still an Indian. And apparently you've got two. Well, they actually will for a little bit until they like fully call that territory. Anyway, let's see who's joining this economic alliance they're making. So we see the nation of northern India. We see Odisha, this country, this yellow country over here, and the Indian country all create an economic alliance together. It's kind of an interesting group of countries since a lot of them have gone to war in the past. Like these two are much poorer than other ones, especially you. You're very sad at this point. Bengal is potentially one you could have expected because of their democratic values, and then both of these guys are oligarchies, which is interesting. But there you go. They have now formed a new economic alliance. Here in India, a lot of economic alliances in Asia, is in like 100% of them. But that's because this sort of Asian area has a lot of countries. We might see more economic alliances pop up in these other areas that have also got a lot of nations. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again next time. Oh wait, nuclear bombs, I forgot about those. Yeah, we do need to update those. Give me a sec. Alright, so the British are going to go from two nuclear bombs all the way up to... Okay, damn it. Why like that? Okay. What is that about? All the way up to 3. There we go. So they're not developing them very quickly, and that's because they had to decolonize very recently. So it's taking them a while to get all the supplies they need. However, if we head down to the Arabic Union, they're going to develop some more. Right, so the Arabic Union has now developed 3 nukes of their own, and in fact they go beyond that all the way up to 4. So it didn't take them very long to overtake the British. However, it's not like they have like a super high number of nukes. However, we see the Russians finally, their spies have got into the British country and infiltrated this stuff, and they've now developed their first nuclear bomb. So they currently have less than the British, but they still have the first one, and the Russians are now going to be able to develop their own and begin their nuclear programs. And there's like a few more countries around the world who are trying to infiltrate the British nuclear, whatever it's called, organization, and develop their own nukes. So yeah, should be pretty interesting. We've now got a total 8 in the world, so that's enough to damage a lot of stuff. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you again next time. Like, subscribe, comment, I don't know. Have a nice rest of your day.